Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. This is one that's come up a couple of times. I really don't have any context for this one, except for the fact that people have told me that it's apparently some sort of a young singer singing in a jazz style, which is always hit or miss, right? Because a lot of what jazz and blues and stuff is feeling the music. And a lot of people would question whether or not somebody who's young or a young adult would have the life experience to be able to produce, I guess, the gravitas or the weightiness of that long life lived, and, the dangers of being the starving artist and all that sort of stuff, which is supposed to flow through your story that you're telling, because, as a singer, you're a storyteller. And so every time a young artist comes along that's sort of, I guess a lot of critics might say they're aping the performances of other artists that have come before them rather than carving out their own niche, But for the fact that I've been tagged in this one so many times leads me to believe that something more is going on here. And that's why this one's interesting, and it's why I want to definitely jump into it. It's like Tom, what's his name? Tom Waits. That's what I'm trying to think of. Tom Waits is a kind of performer who lives, eats, breathes, sleeps the poetry that he puts out there. I think he's still alive, isn't he? Tom Waits. Yeah. But his beatnik sort of era poetry and stuff like that is exactly what I'm talking about. If some kid came out and went on a talent show or something like that and did a Tom Waits song from, like, say, Small Change or one of those albums, it'd be like, okay, so they're doing an impression of Tom Waits or whatever. So what I'm hoping for is that this isn't another one of those sort of situations. And even if it is, maybe there's some amazing talent and color there in and of itself. So, like, I'm not completely jaded or whatever on this whole situation. I'm not hypercritical about anybody who wants to perform. I love seeing anybody get out there and jump on a microphone, but I'm just curious to see, I'm sort of throwing predictions out there about what I'm going to see, So anyway, I got no context. I don't know. I didn't even know how old she is at this point, or whether or not this is the first thing that made her famous or whatever. That's what you guys are for. Fill me in the comments. Let me know her story. The only thing I really know is that she's Norwegian, so that could, be interesting in and of itself. Let's jump in. Angelina Jordan, I put a spell on you. Screaming Jay Hawkins, I believe. So here we go. Wow. Okay, she's young. Okay.
Because
oh, wow. Okay.
you're mine.
Listen to that. Wow. She's a 45-year-old lady.
Stop the things you do. I ain't lying.
Oh, interesting.
I can't stand.
Wow. Okay.
Running around. I can't stand. No, put me down. I put a spell on you because you're mine.
Oh, come on. I am so sorry, jazz guys. I had to break it there. Now, look, there's a couple of things. First of all, it's unnatural that a voice like that comes out of that girl. And what I was saying earlier about, kids doing impressions of artists, it's one thing to mimic the motions and maybe the cadences and the melodies and general overall tone of a singer. It's another thing to have a 45-year-old woman's voice come out of a child. It seems You can almost smell the whiskey. You know what I mean? But what's interesting, the distortion she puts on there, and somehow her vowel sounds and stuff. I mean, it could be a Scandinavian thing or whatever, but she produces sound in a similar way to Björk. And the perfect example of that would be here. Like if you've ever heard It's Oh So Quiet, she does a lot of distorted vocals in that where she screams and stuff like that. And there's that, I can't do it. It's not physically something I can, let me see if I can find it.
Because
Well, that break there, man, it's everything.
you're mine.
Give me one sec. It's got to be coming up.
Stop the things you do.
Oh, the groove. Come on.
I ain't lying.
That sounds Björk-ish.
I can't stand.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the distortion comes from up in the nasal palate. It's like, I can't even begin to, hang on, let me hear it again.
Lying.
It sounds like it's coming from back up here at the back of a palate rather than down here in the throat, which is good because it's healthy. Like, you know, having a kid screaming isn't always the greatest thing in the world long term, but she seems to have figured out a way of doing it and pushing that sort of distorted vocal in a way that's sort of comfortable for her, right? And it just so happens it sounds a lot like Björk.
I ain't lying. I can't stand. You're running around. I can't stand.
I'll skip that.
No, put me down. Put a spell on you. Because you're mine.
Come on, fellas, bring it. Oh, come on.
Stop the things you do. Hey, what's up?
Oh!
I ain't lying. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you anyhow. I don't care if you don't want me. I'm yours right now. I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. I don't care if you don't want me. I'm yours right
I love that sound. How have I not heard this before? How has nobody put this in front of me and said, watch? I don't understand. I don't understand. That is wild. That is absolutely crazy. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to come back and give you a full rundown of my thoughts on that one. Hey guys, this video is made possible by Enchroma. 1 in 6 guys and 1 in 200 women are colorblind. And if that happens to be you, there's something you can do about it. Click the link in the description. It'll take you to Enchroma's website where you can get a free eye test. And while you're there, maybe pick up some corrective lenses. They've got styles to suit everybody and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So you got really nothing to lose. And while you're there, use the code CHAOS in checkout to get 10% off. Tell them Primal Chaos sent you. All right, so listen. What are my thoughts on that one? That's something else. First of all, the band. Well done, you guys. That was stellar. It's cool because it's like a janky, lazy kind of feel. It almost moves into like Zydeco territory because it's just there's a bit of fanfare and flair and a little bit sort of Louisiana stank on it, you know? I mean, I'm not a huge jazz guy, but that's the vibe I get. So if I'm completely off base with that, let me know. But that's the vibe I get. It sort of reminds me, a lot of my exposure to, jazzy kind of stuff like this is through bands like Squirrel Nut Zippers and stuff. If anyone remembers those guys, they sort of came around in, I guess, the early 2000s, along on the coattails of bands like Cherry Pop and Daddies and things like that. So, I associate this sort of like playing with that. So that I could be wrong. It is what it is. Now, about Angelina. Yeah, look, she's channeling something. That's that's the best way to describe it. She's channeling something. Look, let's get all this out of the way first. First of all, her pitch and all that is spot on. It's one of those things where, some people are just great with their pitch acuity, some people aren't. But for somebody who plays around with the notes and their pronunciation and the rhythm and all of that sort of stuff, for someone who sort of is so organic with their melody, she's remarkably on pitch, which is fantastic for someone her age. It's real easy to not understand that you're singing under a note or going sharp or something like that. I love that she is measured about how she puts in things like tricks and distortions and things like that. So you still fundamentally have a great sounding vocal throughout with some color dropped on there just to give it some, keep you interested the whole way through. It seems almost like, it could have just been a natural progression of how she sort of felt the song, or it could have been, maybe some coaching and stuff. I don't know. But either way, like it's a flawless victory as far as like the melody from the beginning to end is just having enough variation to be interesting without going over the top. But what the most important thing for me about watching this performance, and again, I don't have any context. I don't know who Angelina Jordan is outside of this, right? This is all our context I have to go on, which is why I need you guys to fill me in. What is magical about her is she seems to have this lack of any kind of self-awareness as far as like, feeling self-conscious about performing and about taking risks. She's walking in there with 100% confidence when she approaches that microphone, which is amazing for someone her age, right? Because a lot of times, maybe I'm not sure how old she is here. Maybe she's young enough that shame isn't a thing yet. You know what I mean? But she's pulling faces and she's getting into it and she's taking gambles on notes, and things like that I feel like society hasn't crushed that playfulness out of her yet at this point. And if she can hold on to that, she's going to be magical long into her adult career. It's the reason that people like Björk and Aurora are so special and so unique. Aurora particularly, she doesn't seem to have a filter. She seems to exist outside of society in a place where she seems to be immune to any sort of criticism that might bring down her vibe, right? And it's the same here. She doesn't seem to have any self-awareness of anything that might hinder the natural flow of her performance, and that's absolutely beautiful. It's so rich and raw. And that allows her to really push the limits of playing with the song. She hasn't been told yet you need to be of a certain level of performer to work with these musicians, and you're not there yet because you're just a kid. She hasn't been told that, you look funny on camera when you sort of do those notes and maybe your tongue sticks out or something like that, because none of that really matters. At the end of the day, that's all ephemeral nonsense and, dare I say, bullshit, right? Perform as an artist and people will always value your authenticity. And she is authentic. She's 100% who she is, and she should never change. As much as she wants to. I'd also like to point out that young child performers, maybe she's not going to be into this style of music for the rest of her life, or maybe she'll get to a point where that's all anyone wants to hear, and unfortunately that's all she's allowed to perform because that's all anyone will let her perform, right? When she might want to go in a million different directions, If she wants to become the next Britney Spears when she turns like 19, let her do it, But look, this was in this context, it was just a magical performance. I'm happy to have witnessed it. I think it was a long time coming. I don't know how I missed this one. I've seen a lot of, anytime, like anyone who's ever on Reddit, right? If something interesting comes out on video that blows people's minds, everybody gets to see it at some point because it comes in front of you. Somehow I missed this one. But yeah, look, I'm spellbound. That was really cool. That was really cool. She deserves the props that she gets. I'm gonna have to look into it more. I think she was on talent programs. No, Norway's Got Talent, maybe. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where this performance fits into that timeline as well. So I really don't know, but yeah, I think she's channeling like those old jazz singers in a way that just feels unique and authentic. She's not doing a Billie Holiday impression. She's not doing, what's her name? The other one who unfortunately passed away. She's not impersonating. You can go to any talent quest anywhere in the world right now and you can find 7 talented little girls who are really, really good at aping the performances of someone, whether it be Whitney Houston, whether it be, God, I'm terrible at plucking names out of the sky. Anyone. Growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, every girl that was ever in a talent contest was modeling their performances around Mariah or Whitney, or there's like, there's so many, and I just can't think of it. But, there's the girls who would want to be Christina Aguilera, and there's the girls who want to be someone else. And I'm saying girls, but I mean performers in general. As guys are exactly the same. Every guy wants to be someone, and they emulate them until such time as they manage to step away from that and find their own path and find who they are. And that's usually when people pick up and take off, because people want to see something new and they want to see who you are. So if you're out there and you're trying your best to be like somebody, maybe take a step back, look at it and go, who am I? And then you be the new Whitney or the Mariah or the one that everybody wants to aspire to be like. This, if anything, Angelina Jordan proves that it's not about singing crazy pentatonic licks at a huge rate of knots like Beyonce or someone like that, right? It's about engaging and connecting with an audience through your music. And some people like the technicality of crazy licks. And everyone knows when you hear them, you're like, ooh, impressive singing. But unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that wins talent shows on TV. But realistically, this is the kind of thing that people should really, really be connecting with, because it's real and it's authentic and it's got a texture to it, and it's not it's got an original flavor, even though it's not even an original song. And it's not played in an original style. She still manages to make it unique and her own. And I think that's a message we can all take away from that. But anyway, if you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. And like, share, follow, subscribe. If you think of anyone who might like this reaction, send it to them. Feel free to post it anywhere, all that sort of stuff. The other thing too, I'm throwing out there, I've got some merch coming your way. At some point, I'm building a merch store slowly. I've got nothing for sale just yet because I want to get some samples to make sure they're good quality before I start hawking them around the world. So that's something that's coming up. So keep an eye out for that. And thanks again, guys. I appreciate the feedback. Let me know what other Angelina Jordan songs I should be doing, or anyone else I might have missed of this ilk, right? Thanks again. I'll catch you guys in the next one.